Okay, it's here. Another roster announced by Gregg Berhalter, and today, as of 12/2/2020, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, this is the most recent and most updated roster announced by US Soccer and Gregg Berhalter. And this roster is for all you MLS sports out there, because this is an almost all MLS-based roster for the USA December 2020 camp. And I'm excited for it. In this video, what I'm going to go over is give you guys my review and reaction on the roster itself. Let you guys know what players I'm excited for to see in each position announced on this roster. And of course, give you guys my predicted lineup that I think Gregg Berhalter could or I think should go with against El Salvador. So without further ado, let's just get to it. Alright, look, a lot of you guys might be thinking, dude, why do we even need a whole MLS roster for the national team? Why can't we just use all our European players all the time? Well, first of all, dude, if you look at next year, like literally 2021, for the US men's national team, we have a jam-packed schedule. We have a lot of tournaments and big games coming forward for us, and we need a big pool of players to be able to perform in every single one of those tournaments and every single one of those games. Listen to this. We have World Cup qualifying. We have Gold Cup. We have Under-20 World Cup qualifying. Under-20 World Cup tournament itself, Olympic qualifying, Olympic Games itself, and of course Nations League as well. Like, we have so many interesting and like exciting tournaments coming up and games that we're gonna need a big pool. We're gonna need players from Europe, players from MLS, because all these tournaments are not gonna be able to be played by an all European based roster. Because a lot of their teams are not going to be releasing all their players all the time. There could be injuries as well. We need a bigger pool, and MLS is providing a really nice pool of players that we could use for a lot of these tournaments. And I fuck with that. Okay, now before we get into the whole roster itself, let's get down some key points real quick. Any team in the playoffs still in MLS, and also any team preparing for CONCACAF Champions League, are not going to be releasing players and have not released any players to Gregg Berhalter for the USA friendly against El Salvador. So don't be crying about, I want to see Sean Johnson or Miles Robinson, or I want to see Jordan Morris. Look, they're busy, right? This is just a friendly. They ain't got time for that shit, okay? Everybody calm down. So let's just get to it right now. Here, starting at the back. Goalkeepers. We've got some surprises here. We got some surprises throughout the whole roster. CJ Dos Santos, Bill Hamid, and David Ochoa as our three goalkeepers selected for the roster by Gregg Berhalter. Some big surprises here, of course. CJ Dos Santos, a player I kind of forgot about. I did see him like last year. Not see him, but I did read about him last year. A player from the Philadelphia Union Youth Academy, picked up by Benfica to play for the youth squad since the U17. And since then, has been playing for Benfica too. Not their main team, they're still youth team, but still getting consistent game time, playing pretty well overseas. And he's our one overseas player on the whole roster. The rest of the roster is all MLS-based players. Bill Hamid, of course, had a pretty okay season, I guess, for DC. Gets a little nod here by Gregg Berhalter. I think it's a player who I think maybe Gregg Berhalter didn't know who else to pick, because I don't think Bill Hamid had the best season for DC. David Ochoa, I probably think the most exciting player on this roster for goalkeeper terms. Playing a lot for Real Monarchs and USL. Pretty solid there. Playing pretty good for Real Salt Lake and MLS when he gets a chance. Pretty solid as well. Excited. Young. I want to see how he does. That's that. On to defenders. We got Julian Arrau from LA Galaxy, Kyle Duncan, Marco Farfan, Aaron Long, Mark McKenzie, Mauricio Pineda, Walker Zimmerman, and Sam Vines, a player who actually was not on here for some reason. I just noticed that. My bad. But anyway, players here, I think we have a pretty good, decent defense kind of players announced here on this roster. Mark McKenzie, obviously the player I'm most excited to see play for the national team in this December camp. He's probably the most highly prospect or most excited prospect to watch in MLS in terms of defender marks. Walker Zimmerman, of course, the MLS Defender of the Year, pretty cool. Julian Arrau, a player who could play for Mexico but has decided to play for USA. Come on, like, Gregg Berhalter works his magic once again, convinces this dude to stay and play for USA. I think that's awesome. Marco Farfan, another cool player that I would like to see play for Portland Timbers. Now on to midfielders. Here we go, the big one. Second big one, actually. Brendan Aronson from, of course, your boy Drew's favorite team, the Union. Kellen Acosta, Andres Pereira, Cole Bassett, Sebastian Jet, and, of course, new addition as of today, Jackson Ewell from San Jose. Now, real quick, I thought Jackson Ewell was a player who kind of got a little snubbed by Gregg Berhalter. I was like, when the original roster came out, that was after San Jose got knocked out of the MLS playoffs. I was like, dude, why not? Why is it not Jackson Ewell called up to the roster? That's weird. But now he's here. It all makes sense. It's fine. Everything's back. Hey, nice and happy. Also, a player who surprised me to be called up here is Kellen Acosta, a player who has been with the national team many times back in the day. He's still in his early 20s, but it just seems like he's been around for a long time. Kind of forgot about him for a little bit, kind of fell off. His game was not as high as it used to be. Back in the day, he was kind of like one of the first players named on the team sheet in the starting 11, but now he's going to have to work his way back into that, into that spotlight. But of course, the player I'm very most excited to see is Cole Bassett and Brandon Aronson for our midfielders. I think Brandon Aronson, obviously, the most excited and most, decorated, I guess, youth player in MLS who got a good big move to Red Bull Salzburg to play under Jesse Marsch in Austria. I think this is going to be his last game in the States. That's going to suck. I think Salzburg is getting a really terrific player in Brandon Aronson. I'm going to miss him a lot at the Union. And of course, Cole Bassett, 19-year-old player from Colorado Rapids. I think he's been tremendous so far this season for his age. I think he's been pretty good, impressive, good breakout season for him. Sebastian Lletget called up once again. You kind of saw that coming. But now, let's go on and move on to everyone's favorite position right now, the forwards. Here we go. Ayo Akinola, Efrain Alvarez, Paul Arriola, Daryl Dike, Georgi Mihailovic, and Chris Mueller. You look at these forward players here, and we just get excited. Daryl Dike, of course, Ayo Akinola, two strikers we have been wanting to see for the national team. Two strikers we think could be a good option for us if Josh Sargent is playing bad or Josh Sargent is injured. We have Ayo Akinola at least, Daryl Dike, alongside our European strikers around the world. But I think Daryl Dike is our number 2 best striker right now. I know you guys want to have a freaking titty tag about Jazzy Zardes, but I don't care about that dude, okay? I don't care. He's getting older. He's almost 30 years old. I think Daryl Dike, young, exciting, strong, proven himself so far this season. Why not see how he does? I want to see how he does in another season with Orlando City, how he does there. And if he does good, get him a big move away to Europe. Paul Arriola, a player that I think it was a big surprise for many people. He did come back from a big ACL injury. He was out for like almost 9 months or something like that. That was a long time. But Gregg Berhalter really talked him up in his most recent press conference. He really feels Paul Arriola. He really likes Paul Arriola. He wants him back in the team. So I see Paul Arriola starting for Gregg Berhalter in the game against El Salvador. But the biggest player we have here, I think, the player that people are most talking about, is Efrain Alvarez. And Efrain Alvarez, good player. He's from LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy's fucking sucked this year. So he couldn't be that good this year. But I think he's exciting. He was a big talent last year especially. He has played for Mexico, so he actually cannot play in this game alongside, what's this guy's name? Alongside Andres Perea from Orlando City. Those two players are not eligible to play in this international friendly if they do not first file a change of international duty or something like that with FIFA. So if they don't do that, they cannot play. They can get called up, they can train with the USA, but they cannot play in any official match at all, which kind of sucks. I doubt these guys will be able to file that in time to play next week. We're just going to see what happens. Okay, everybody calm down. I'll show you guys my lineup. Fine. Here we go. David Ochoa started as my goalkeeper over Bill Hamid and CJ Dos Santos. Dos Santos playing for a B team. Ochoa playing for a big team. Not a big team. The first team in MLS, Real Salt Lake. I think he's been pretty solid. I feel like he's just a more trusted goalkeeper right now for Berhalter. Bill Hamid, I think he said, like I said, an okay season. I think Sean Johnson, Stephen Fry could have gotten his spot if not having other duties, in their careers right now. Center backs, Walker Zimmerman and Mark McKenzie. We got probably the most exciting young center back in MLS and MLS Defender of the Year, Walker Zimmerman. You could make a case for Aaron Long, but I think Zimmerman had the better season in MLS 2020 over Aaron Long. My fullbacks, I got Julian Arral because I just want to freaking get him playing for the USA, and he's eligible to play, so he could play. Why not play him? Sam Vines, a left back. I think he's pretty solid there. I went with the 4-3-3. I just feel like it fit this lineup, this group of players better. I got Jackson Ewell as my center defensive midfielder. I was struggling to pick someone in this role before Ewell was announced. I was at work earlier today, and I was like, who the hell am I going to put on this lineup to fill the defensive midfielder spot. Am I gonna put Pineda? Am I gonna put Pereira? Oh, Pereira can't play. I have no idea who I'm gonna do. But luckily, Jackson Yu was announced. It's made it so much easier for me. Jackson Yu has had some time playing with the U.S. national team already in that role. Plays that role pretty good with San Jose. Whoops, why not play it again? We got Cole Bassett here and Brendan Aronson ahead of him. Going forward, keeping the midfield nice, jam-packed. I think Brendan Aronson has a terrific work rate, especially for the Union. He's going from freaking attacking to defending. He's all over the pitch. He's everywhere. Cole Bassett, 19-year-old kid from Colorado Rapids. Like I said, impressed me. 5 goals, 4 assists in 12 regular season games for Colorado. He's 19 years old. Why not get him on the pitch to play? Why not? Now, the front three. This is like everyone has like a different front three, but this is the front three I think Berhalter should go with. I think he's obviously going to pick Paul Arriola because he has been talking Arriola up throughout his conferences and since he called him up, blah, blah, blah. So Arriola is definitely going to start. And he's going to start on the right because most of his game time for DC and for the U.S. national team has been on the right all the time. So that's why I picked Georgi Mihailovic to play on the left. Now, why, Drew, would you do that? Why? Georgi Mihailovic plays in the midfield for Chicago Fire. Yes, but he has played some of his game time for Chicago on the left-hand side attacking. And also, he is listed as a forward by Gregg Berhalter and U.S. Soccer. If you look at their website, he's listed as a forward, not as a midfielder. I think Brendan Aronson and Cole Bassett are playing that position that Mihailovic does play in Chicago Fire better than Mihailovic. The Aronson and Bassett are my two starting attacking midfielders or just central midfielders as a whole. Mihailovic is going to be pushed out to the left or on the right, who knows, but he's going to be used primarily as a forward for Berhalter, mark my words. And of course, the biggest forward we have here, Daryl Decay. I think he's a bigger prospect than Aya Akinola. I'm a big Akinola fan, but I think Daryl Decay has proven himself more this season, has scored more goals, looks more consistent, and just looks like the better player right now, so why not start him? Now, look, I would love to see Chris Mueller start as well on either side of the wings, but I think he's going to get the bench for this game at least. But he probably will come in as a substitute, and I hope he really freaking does. But anyway, enough about me. I want to know more about you guys. Let me know your thoughts on the whole roster itself down below. And let me know your lineups that you would like to see Gregg Berhalter go with for the game against El Salvador. And make sure you guys are subscribed because next week we're probably going to have a live stream to watch this game live together. How adorable. If my schedule works out, it'd be great. I'll let you guys know on the community tab on my channel. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.